Hi, and welcome to another episode of Danielle Gray and another episode of Deep Dive Conversations. I'm going to introduce you our next guest, who is in finance and women empowerment. Here she is. She's amazing. I'll let her introduce herself now.
Hi, Danielle. Thank you for
Hi.
having me.
Oh, you're welcome.
So to introduce myself, my name is Urmi. I work in the financial services industry. I come from an educational background in finance. I am also pursuing my CFA designation. And like you mentioned, I'm a big advocate of women's empowerment. And during my free time, I like to dedicate my time to giving back to women and empowering women.
That's amazing. That's incredible. Okay, so we're going to get into these deep dive conversations. First question is, what made you want to get into finance?
So basically what happened is I never thought I was going to be in finance, to be honest. I was initially majoring in international business. And then what happened is I took a couple of classes and I realized how much I didn't like any of it. I didn't enjoy studying international business. And back in the days, finance was my minor. So then I was like, okay, I'm going to try this finance classes and see how I feel about it. And I realized that after taking a few classes, I actually enjoyed taking finance classes. So I actually switched my major to finance. And then I feel like it was a love that just grew through time, because the more I was taking finance classes, the more I realized how much I actually enjoyed finance, because it's a little bit quantitative, it's also qualitative, so it makes you think, but you're also like applying maths and stuff like that. And I think I enjoyed everything about it because I had great professors, so they made me really enjoy all the classes. And I could see that the more I was studying finance, the easier it was becoming for me. Like I never felt like it was a burden. You know how people feel like studying, like they don't want to study. For me, it did not feel like that. I actually enjoyed every moment of finance. I enjoyed giving exams. Like I had no issues. I could study like 12 hours straight and never be tired. So it was something that like I really, really enjoyed. And I could see that being reflected also in my grades and my GPA. And so it was never in my plan. It was just something that I went with it, and I just saw how it went. So and then I liked it. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna stick to finance. And I've been doing this since ever, and I've been in the industry for like 6 years as well, and I'm still studying finance, so imagine.
You found your passion. You just
Yes.
guided to your passion. That's amazing. So why do you feel like it is important for girls and women to learn more about money and finance?
So I think it's mainly for three reasons. One is to have financial independence, second, to have financial freedom, and the third one, to have options. And I think as a woman, you don't want to depend to someone else. Like you don't want to depend to your father, you don't want to depend to your brother or someone else, especially when it's a male figure. You just want to depend to yourself. And I think being financially independent, it's something that everyone should have, and everyone should pursue, because it gives you an option to choose. It gives you the freedom that you want in your life. And I think it's important. And I think especially women usually are not really thought about finance, are not really thought about money. And there are some cultural barriers there are gender stereotypes. And I think women in general should learn about finance, because it just gave them the option to choose what they want to do with their lives.
Okay, I agree totally with that. And we deserve to be more to have that thing, because mentioning controlled over and the money, that's not fair. So why do you think women and girls don't feel empowered around finance and money?
I think there is one, the gender stereotypes, and there is a cultural barrier depending on where you come from. But I think like a lot of cultures, you still see that women are not taught about finance. And I think there is a systemic issue in the society, especially at school, where school don't invest in personal finance classes or personal finance programs. And I think there is an issue there. There is like an actual issue or lack of education there when it comes to finance. And it's not just women, but it's also, a little like boys and girls at school that are not taught about personal finance. And I think once we grow up, we actually struggle, especially when we are going to university. We have to like live on our own budget, on our own, save, and like no one actually teaches about that. And I think for women especially, there is that sort of like barrier, gender stereotypes that, women are seen as like spending money, just buying things here and there. They are responsible, but none of it is true. And I think it's because families and school, they don't actually provide the right tools to the women to actually learn about finance. Like if you have, for instance, two kids, there are siblings, one is a boy, one is a girl, chances are that people will go and invest and educate the man when it comes to like handling the finances. They will see him as the one, bringing money at home rather than the woman, because women are seen to be doing other things in their life. They are seen as housewife. And so there is a sort of like stereotypes. And I think this is why we still have this sort of issues. But I think it's about like just providing the right tools so that everyone has the equal opportunity when it comes to that.
Definitely an old-fashioned mindset, and students overall with women. It's not really our fault when the government like has paid tax on us, pays us less. There's no equality. So I totally agree with that. Why do you think women and girls, oh wait, I already asked you that question. Sorry about that. Why do you think the reasoning behind us women and girls don't feel empowered with money is an educational thing?
Why it's an educational thing? It's because of whatever I have just said. I think it's there is an educational factor there, meaning that first of all, school curriculums do not have anything about personal finance. I also have struggled with that, especially when I was in school, because like I remember I moved to Canada, I was working part-time and I had no clue on like how to save or anything. And I struggle a lot with that. And I think there is an educational factor there, meaning that school system do not invest money in that. They don't have programs that, are bringing financial expert to teach about money. I think now like it's changing a little bit, but it's still like a taboo topic, I feel. Especially when I was growing up, it was a taboo topic. It was something that we could not speak at home. School, forget about it. We didn't know anything about what it meant to earn money. We didn't know anything about saving. And I think there is an actual issue there that schools are not providing the right tools and education to kids because they don't think it's important. And so this has to change. I do know that there are nonprofit organizations, especially the ones that I'm part of, that are actually working on getting funds to actually invest into these programs so that they can actually, teach something to little girls and little boys about finances and money. Because I think if you start at an early age, I think you develop good skills that you can carry on throughout your life. When it comes to when you're like too late in the game, I think it's always hard. You do not know where to start from, and you do not know who to ask, and you don't want to learn about finance when you're like living on your own, although like you might learn the hard way. But I think you want to be prepared before, you go live on your own, before you start university. You want to know a little bit about how these things work, because you don't want to live paycheck to paycheck at the same time.
I think especially people with finances and stuff like that. I do feel like they are getting better at it, but I do think it's going to take time. And I'm glad that you're teaching women now, because I know for me, I had struggled learning this. I was awful at math, and I'm really insecure about money, and I'm working through that. But it's hard when you're an adult and you're still trying to empower yourself. So how can we as women and girls start to feel empowered with money?
So I think luckily now we just have access to so many things, and I'm glad that it's like that. I think there are so many ways that, women can learn about finance, and it doesn't have to be just through school, because I think school does a poor job when it comes to that. But now I think you can have access to workshops, seminars, you have access to podcasts, YouTube channels. You have very good people out there that actually teach you about personal finance. They teach you about investing. You can also, like, if you're part of different organization, let's say as a member, they also offer this type of seminars or workshop to teach you about money. You can learn about this through books, and I think that's a great way to learn. And of course, there are also courses out there where you have advisor teaching you about money. And I think that if you want to start investing or if you want to start saving, another good way is also to seek professional help and to find an advisor who can actually guide you and educate you, and that's their job. So there are many different ways, but I think for me the most effective way, the way I learned it, well, of course there was the educational part because I graduated in finance, but that part was just mainly focusing on investing, but there was nothing that was focusing on personal finance. And I think when it comes to personal finance, podcasts and books are the best way to learn about it. And of course, to ask like other people how they dealt with it from their own personal experience, if they can provide you with good tips. And there are also different apps out there that can help you with budgeting and so forth.
Totally agree. And you have a blog and a YouTube channel, so you can help people actually learn how to do the finances and some things too. To just access your YouTube and your blog. And you also have a podcast.
I don't have a podcast.
Okay, so it's
I
yeah, so they can read articles there. They can watch their YouTube videos, and they can
yeah.
yeah. So we'll be
Yeah.
putting those in the show notes so they can definitely learn and take things for you and your skills and add it to their lives and do how to empower them around money. That's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to be leaving all your links down in the show notes so everybody can find them. Your LinkedIn account, so they can contact you for mentoring if they want to. And thank you for appearing on my show. It was so wonderful meeting you and learning about what you do, especially around women and finances. And I really appreciated that you wanted to be on my show. I'm such a new show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I hope that we can do this again.
Yes.
And do you also have a book that you're starting? Or do you have a book that somebody can, that they should read, a certain book around finances? That you think
Yes. Well, yes. So I did read many personal finance books, and I think the ones that I have liked so far is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert, I forgot his last name.
That's okay.
He's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Poor Dad. It's a pretty
Yeah.
well-known book, and it's a book about personal finance investing. And then there is a podcast that I listen to, which is called More Money Podcast by Jessica Moore. And she's a Canadian financial expert. And basically, she has this weekly podcast where she invites experts from different sectors. And basically, they talk about budgeting, investing, and they talk about different things about money. And she's pretty good because they all talk about their own personal experience, and they provide tips and tools on how people can just empower themselves financially.
Those are good tips for everybody listening. And yeah, I'm gonna be checking those out too for myself. So thank you for that. Thank you for leaving us with
Thank you.
knowledge. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed having you. Thank you for being on my.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. This was On Air with Danielle Grace Conversation. Thank you for all my listeners listening, and hope you come back for another episode. And for now, farewell. See you again on Air with Danielle Grace.